2. You see the form. I hope you're familiar with how that's working now. We have labels and we have inputs.
Hi, sir. Hi,
The
sir.
names,
Delivery
the
7 doesn't have contacts page.
sorry, you were saying something, Bushra?
Delivery, yes, sir. Delivery 6 and delivery 5 doesn't have contact page, right?
Doesn't have a contact page yet. Maybe not. No, no, I think it doesn't.
Ah,
Um,
yes.
anyways, yeah. So
And
thanks for that question.
okay, thank you.
Let me just check on that. If it does, I'll have a look after the lesson. If there is a contact page required, I'll make a note of it. But I don't think there is. But the reason why I'm mentioning this, I don't want to spend too much time on this. It does come up though. We had lab 8, 8A and 10 were forms. Here's another form action if you want to look at it. The thing that's important, and I'm just going to highlight this very quickly. You have this name that you can set in the form. The name can then be passed to another file. That happens in the action. In the action, you can use PHP, and there's if you look at W3 schools, it'll show you how you do this. So for example, in this one here, we've got a welcome.php. You have to state the method. There's 2 different methods that you can use, a post or a get. And when you do that, then you can use this special PHP programming language. And you see it's all kind of cryptic, right? You have to start things with this less than question mark PHP, and then close it with the question mark greater than sign. Then everything in between there is PHP, which is different than HTML, even though it's stuck inside HTML. You see the PHP code is stuck inside the HTML code. So what you end up with is this file. It's got it's saved as a PHP file. Most of it might look like an HTML file, but it has in it PHP code. And the PHP code allows you, so do you see this post name thing here? It allows you to take values that are from a form somewhere or some other from a file and move them and use them and program with them. So in this case, what the user's done is they have in a form, they've asked the person for their name and their email address, and then when they pressed on the submit button, then and you can test this all out. This is all on W3 School, so have a look at it. Then when they press on the submit button, what will happen is the welcome.php file will be accessed. The PHP code will be processed, and what will happen there is the output will be seen. Their name and their email address will be printed to the screen, and that's done with these echo commands. Echo is a command in PHP which puts something in the screen. So basically what it's doing is it takes the variables that have been passed to it from the form. The form has the name, email, and the um, name, and they've been passed to it, and then it's able to do something with them. I mean, this is the simplest thing that you could possibly do with them, which is just put them on the screen. But normally we would then use them. Now we could have in this PHP file, we could have SQL commands. I mean, that would be the typical thing, right? Now we would have an SQL command. We'd use those names, and we would do a search in the database based on those names, or we would do an insert into the database based on those names. Now, it's not really easy to do that. In fact, I don't know that it's possible to do that without PHP. So we use PHP as a sort of a bridge language that gets our HTML code, which the HTML, as you know, is just making things look right in your browser. But embedded in your HTML code, you can have your PHP code, and then you can interface with your databases, your back end of your system. I think that's enough on that. Now, why I'm going to stop talking about that now is you do not need to do this in this course. So this was just me sort of expanding a little bit because we did 2 exercises on forms, and the natural question which might come from that, oh, that's very nice. We got these forms. So what? What's the point of the form? Well, it should be obvious to you because you've used the internet and you have filled out contact forms and stuff like that. And you'd wonder, well, what happens to that data when you click on the submit button? Well, when you click on the submit button, what's always going to happen is that you're going to have something like this, a PHP file, perhaps in the background, might not be putting anything on the screen, might not have any echo commands in it, but in the background, it's going to be taking those details that have been submitted in the form, and it's going to be processing them somehow. Maybe it'll be using them to retrieve data from a database. Maybe it will be storing them in a database. Probably okay. Enough on that. Hopefully this whets your appetite to want to do something more with this later. In which case, if you continue on with the software strand, you'll be doing lots of PHP and JavaScript. JavaScript. Now, so why do I mention JavaScript? Because JavaScript you program inside your SQL code, um, but it's a little different than than your PHP. And anyways, you'll be doing a lot of that in the future. I don't want to spend too much more time on that. Uh, anyway, so yeah, the idea there is that we don't have a static internet. Our internet is living. It's interactive with us. We're interacting with the internet. It's responding to us, and we're responding back to that. And to do that, we need some kind of programming language built into our websites. And so that's why we have JavaScript, and that's why we have PHP. All right, so I'm actually not going to talk anymore about that. That's if you want to do that exercise, what you'll notice here is you have a form, but a form is not a web page. So if you want to make this form work, you could try that. If you're really, really keen and you wanted to make to do something with the um, PHP, you would need to use the server. You could do that, and you could make these two files and make this work, but you can't do that without having a server. So if you want to do that, you do have a server. It's called the SIT server. You could put your work up on there, and you could sort of play with this. Now, what I was saying about this, this wouldn't work on its own because it's not a complete HTML file, is it? You'd have to put a HTML tags on it and provide a head and a body. Okay. Now, what I want you to spend your time on, go ahead and do this if you've got time, but what I'd rather you spend your time on is on your projects. So I don't have the D2L open here, but oh, great. Bad typing. Okay, so let's just go to D2L and see what we got there. Um, oh, this is us. So if you look in your assessments, you would see that there's, so if you want to put a form there, some people have done the other two forms exercises. The assignment, I guess I better start marking that, right? So we've had two things on forms, and then you've got these project deliveries. I see a lot of people have already done a lot of project delivery 5, project delivery 6 and 7. And then after project delivery 7, you've got the final delivery, So you can be working on all of those now. All right, so do I have any questions from students? As I said, I won't talk anymore about PHP until you get on to another class because we're not assessing it in this course. But any questions at all? Listening.